it's definitely not a short answer, but what happened is that this is a process that actually has been going on for quite a while now, at, at least a year or year and a half. And I first became aware again of what Paiste was doing. Um, I was actually with my friend who works with me as a technician. His name is Jarrett. And we were at a warehouse, and there was a ride cymbal on a cymbal stand and a pair of hi-hats on a hi-hat stand that I didn't recognize. And I walked by them and I tapped them. I said, wow, that sounds amazing. What is that? And he said, oh, that's called a Paiste traditional. And I said, Huda Wada? What do you mean a traditional? You mean Paiste makes these? He said, oh yeah. I said, since when? Well, they've been out for a while. And I had never heard of them. So my idea of Paiste was a stigma that I think has existed in the minds of a lot of people for a long time, where, you know, it's this kind of cymbal. What does that mean? You know, so when I heard that, I thought, wow, I never expected this. So, you know, we all have expectations, right? So I started investigating, and then I saw that there were the 20 series, and then I saw there were dark energies, and then I saw that the 602s had been reintroduced, which I always thought were great cymbals. And there were all these lines of cymbals, and eventually I heard them, and I was really, really impressed by what I heard. So I remember I went down to Brea and saw Andrew and heard a bunch of cymbals. And so they were courteous enough to invite me there. Actually, I want to back up a bit. Before that happened, I got an unexpected phone call during the NAMM show, and from Freddie Studer, who's an old friend of mine I've known for 25 years, and I hadn't talked to him in a long time. And he said, "Oh, I'm in Hollywood, and I have these cymbals I'd like you to hear, and if you're not doing anything, you know, there's a ride cymbal that I've been waiting for years for." So I was in Hollywood working, and I said, "Oh, okay, well, I'll come by and say hello." And he had some cymbals, and then he had a 20 series dark ride. Well, once again, I heard this, and I'm seeing all these different colors and all these different sounds, and as I investigated them and heard them, not only did I realize that they felt different than I thought they would feel, but that these cymbals were organized into families, which for me was easy for my mind to categorize. At the same time, the families overlap. They overlap, and they can fulfill different functions. So I was really, really impressed by that, and by the quality, and by the fact that Paiste were putting all these things out that covered so much ground. So, and they were consistent. These guys were pulling cymbals off the shelf without even listening to them. There was no special selection, and if I had to sit there and pick 3 to 5 cymbals, I couldn't really do it. They all sounded great. So that was a really, I was very impressed by that, and I was also impressed by the service and the commitment to the instrument, and the quality, and there's different kinds of things that Paiste produce in a percussive sound arena, as well as their gongs. So this whole palette of colors is something that they take very seriously. And for me, I saw a range of very usable stuff that sounded great. And I started seeing that the cymbals never got away from me. They were controlled, and there were characteristics that appealed to me. if the cymbal, if I wanted wash, I would get wash, and the cymbal would just get louder, and then stop, and get softer. But there was no brashiness, no clanginess, and there have been things that in the studio I've noticed that's been a real big plus, and live as well. I could move overhead mics closer, turn up the overheads, and hear more drums as well. The cymbals are really controlled and beautiful sounding. And so for me, it was I came to realize that they made the most amount of cymbals, of different cymbals that I could use in the most amount of different situations all of the time with consistency. So, and for me, that's something that I need. And then, it's really, really easy for your ear to get used to that. Very, very easy. And once you're exposed to that, you can understand why the truth is in the sound, When I first heard that the 602s were being relaunched, I thought, wow, they're bringing back the 602s. That's a commitment to sound. It's a commitment to sound because those things are pure sound. There's nothing, that is gimmicky about them at all. It's not some, pyramidal shaped cymbal with fur on it that it has some sort of marketing gimmick. This is just a classic cymbal that I remember from many, many years ago that was very sought after and used by a lot of my contemporaries that I had heard and loved, and that to me showed a commitment to bringing out something that was important for sound. It's a really, really big thing because the 602s are an important voice. And I think that they sound so pure, and they're very beautiful sounding. And to me, they're the best representation of that kind of sound.